Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Jamie. This is the week that can change your life, and here's why. It's Project 3000 week, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. But before I get to that, I want to talk to you about times that you've taken chances, times that you've gone with your gut, times that you've pushed yourself past the point of fear, times when you've ignored or been able to listen to your own voice more than you've listened to the naysayers or the judgment or the perceived judgment of people around you. And I connected with a colleague on LinkedIn recently who reminded me that we had met at a conference that was part of a coaching session. And I remember it was the first time I had ever traveled to such a big conference and really didn't know what to expect. And frankly, I thought I was like the biggest sucker on the planet before I went. And when I arrived, thinking that I would be the only person who was the stupidest person to fall for such a thing, and all my skepticism was full out in play, I got there and there were probably, 200, 300, 400 people in the room. It was a lot of positive energy. It was a lot of professionals. It was people who were really committed to pursuing something that they believed in. Now, here's the thing. Every single person in that room, myself included, had paid $10,000 to be there. Now, I could have thought that that was insane before I walked into a room and saw that all of those other people had jumped on board as well. And it isn't that they were investing in someone else and risking throwing away their money. They and I invested in themselves. They put the money on the line that said, I believe I can deliver. I believe I am up for the challenge. I believe I'm going to make this work because first I committed with my hard-earned money. Now I'm committing with my time and my reputation. So, that day changed my perspective a lot of what people are willing to do and how people are willing to decide to surround themselves and elevate themselves with people who have high aspirations and are really going to do the work and not sit behind, oh gosh, how much does it cost? Oh gosh, are you really going to deliver? It's not an external party that's going to deliver, it's you who's going to deliver. So that day really changed my world and my thinking. But I was thinking, well, what are some of the other risks and challenges I've taken, not necessarily business-wise? And a big one comes to mind, that I hiked the Grand Canyon. To put this in perspective, at the time I did it, I was not athletic at all. I was not a gym rat. I didn't lift weights. I didn't run. I didn't even walk. And I just decided that there was a group going. I didn't want to get left behind, so I was going to go. I thought I was going to have 6 months to train, and it ended up being a little bit more than 6 weeks. And it wasn't just the hiking. There were three other things involved. A, I had to carry in what we were going to drink and what we were going to eat. So I was carrying a pack that was easily a third of my body weight. So not only had I never hiked, but I'd never hiked carrying that kind of weight either. I was also hiking with 2 kids. So my youngest at the time was 6. So not only did I need to get myself in and out safely, I needed to get my 6-year-old in and out safely. And we went in March. So it was cold at the top. It was warm and dry at the bottom. So we had to carry a lot of water. We slept on the ground, so not exactly comfortable, and we needed to get out before it turned dark the next day. So the trail at the top was narrow, it was very icy, it was getting dark, and it was one of those things where there weren't any options. We were not going to sleep on a 1 foot wide trail on ice in the dark with a 6-year-old. We had to get out. We had to keep walking no matter how tired we were, no matter how much our muscles were screaming. And we had to stay positive because it's not like you can let your own fear be transparent for the 6-year-old who's going, Mommy, are we going to be fine? Yep, you bet, we're going to be fine. Keep walking. And we did it. And, maybe I couldn't move for the next week, but the fact is that remains one of my most significant personal physical accomplishments, because not only did I overcome the weight of carrying the pack and the actual exercise, but I overcame my mental fear. And I did it, and I did it anyway, and I did it against the time limit because there were no options, and sometimes that's when you succeed most, is when there simply aren't any other options. Another thing that I've done, I hate cold water. I can't tell you how much I hate being cold. But I did a polar bear plunge a couple of years ago. And again, I did it with a kid. And so at that point, you want to be the leader and you want to lead by example and show what can be done and show that you can overcome fear. And the other thing is I remember so clearly as I was stripping off coats and hats and scarves and gloves and boots and wool socks to get down to a bathing suit to run into really cold water, that I was thinking that if I thought, I would stop, that I couldn't think, that I simply had to run full force, jump in both feet and just go. Because if I started thinking about all the reasons why I didn't want to, then I wouldn't, and then I'd have to deal with all the shame and all the regret and all the second guessing and all the negative self-talk that goes when you talk yourself out of something. So again, I went in it, it was exhilarating, it took my breath away, I got to get back out again, feel warm all over, and not only the pride of my own accomplishment, but the pride of knowing that I had been the leader to show my child that when you want to go do something, you just go do it and you just jump in, and that if you make a commitment, you can keep that commitment. Another thing I did also involves swimming. So when I was a young adult, I lived on Martha's Vineyard. It was a much emptier place back then. There was a great big old pond that you could walk a couple of miles into and go swimming. And the habit was to go swimming without swimsuits. And it was just a thing back then, very calm, very laid back, very peaceful, kind of like you would imagine Martha's Vineyard. Back in hippie days, it was like that. And then the land got bought up and it all became private and the pond became off limit and all these ugly signs everywhere, keep out and stay out. So I thought that experience was gone to me for forever. And a couple of years ago, I got the chance to go back to Martha's Vineyard and stayed near where that pond was and discovered that now one part of it was public and they'd put in a dock and, there was it's okay to swim here signs and a public parking lot and everything. But the thing is, I went in the early spring and it was really cold out and the sky was very gray and it was windy and it was raining on the day that I walked to that dock. But it had a ladder down into the pond inviting people to swim, and I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know that I'm ever coming back here again. And back in the day, some of my fondest memories were swimming around this pond. So I'm here. So the long and the short of that story is, I stripped down to my underwear, not to be too terribly graphic, but, went for a swim. And here's what I did that day. I overcame judgment. I could have gotten wrapped up in thinking, oh gosh, what will others think of me? Here I am going swimming without a bathing suit, and I'm going swimming all by myself, and I'm, an older lady who probably ought to know better than to go swimming without, the right appropriate attire. And I didn't even have a towel with me, and it was really cold. But again, just the feeling of being alive, of knowing that there was an opportunity right in front of me, that I could walk away and always wonder, what if I had gone swimming that day? And the thing is, I didn't have to live with that regret of wondering what would happen, because I went and did it. Didn't bother a soul, didn't hurt anyone, didn't scare anyone to death by, swimming in my underwear instead of an official bathing suit. But I went swimming that day. And again, it's memories that I have. It's little successes that I've built up. And honestly, it probably all started with that conference of showing me what other people were willing to do. And it's not that I needed other people to decide for me, but it makes a difference when you're surrounded by leaders who invest in themselves and then make decisions and then they take action. And it was really, really liberating. So that's the position that we're in right now with Project 3000. We are inviting people to jump on board with us with an amazing business opportunity. Does it require not worrying about what other people are thinking? Yes, there is some element of that to it. Does it require you making a decision and just running and jumping with both feet and going with your gut and what your gut tells you? Absolutely it does. Do you have to pay a whole ton of money to have a coach teach you so that they're making money, but you're not necessarily going to succeed? Absolutely not. There's an investment, like any business requires an investment. There's a monthly overhead, like any business requires a monthly overhead. But here's the thing, when you join with us, you are going to get paid to then have amazing mentorship, amazing leadership, to be surrounded by a group of people who are running hard, who are having fun, who are taking chances, who are going on adventures, and they're creating a legacy for their family, all at the same time. So if any of my story makes sense to you, and thank you for letting me share some of my personal adventures, but to summarize, we don't get anywhere in life unless we take chances. We don't get anywhere in life unless we push ourselves sometimes beyond the limits of what we think is possible. And we don't get anywhere unless we surround ourselves with other people who see a vision and who are willing to take chances, who believe in themselves, and who link arms and who say, let's just do this. So I invite you to find out what Project 3000 is all about. I invite you to learn more. There's a webinar today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so you can get more information. Join us. Be part of history making this week, because these are memories that you will cherish forever. Bye.